All right, guys, we're sitting down here at what is going to be tomorrow, the Burnout Bootcamp here in Manly in Sydney. We have Jedi here coming along today as my guest on today's podcast because, Jedi, you've just flown 9 hours, just landed in the country to co-host this amazing workshop for burnt out business owners. And a lot of the work that I've done for the last 10 years is about helping people optimize health and hormones so they can be as high performers as they want to be, right? And you work with a lot of high performers, you work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So, mate, I guess to introduce you to our audience, I'd love for you to give me the background of how did you get in this chair? How you end up now where you're in Thailand this morning, you're in Sydney now, you're hosting workshops all over the world for thousands of people. It looks pretty crazy, man, from the outside watching in. So, mate, give us a bit of an overview of how did you get sitting in this chair? How did you end up here?
Dude, Will, first off, it's great to be back here in Manly. I mean, this place brings a lot of memories for the both of us, but for me as well, because when we met in December, that was the second time that I came back here in Manly. So
I didn't know that.
There's a lot of transformative moments for me here in Australia. So I wanted to bring something new here to kind of like cement the memory even more for my friends here and as well, hopefully set a new pathway to what we're building next. So the whole reason that I got here was simply because I was one of those people that you meant that you mentioned, right? Burnt out, tired. I just lost the willpower to live at one point. When I came back to help run my family's business, that was around 15 years ago, I was granted the opportunity to run a team of 160 people.
Wow.
Granted me, I had no experience in management. No idea what
That's
what
a
I
big
was
team to run.
Oh,
For anyone listening along at home, so running teams of like 5, 10, 20, that alone it becomes a full-time job just running the crew, right? 160 is a whole new animal. You need to, like, you're running managers who run teams, all right?
Yes.
So it's an entirely different game plan to what anyone really gets exposed to unless you're running a very big business. So you just got dropped in the middle of that and
Boom.
thrown straight at it, man.
Yeah.
So that would have been an absolute tailspin for you. How did that play out? That was crazy.
Dude, I was, I honestly had no idea where to start. Now, the only thing that I knew was, all right, okay, now that I'm put into this opportunity, the best thing that I can do is to just put one foot in front of the other. And it just kept moving forward. Now, what it meant tactically back then was I first looked at what I was good at, which was which was the edge at that time that I had the ability to speak English and understand English well, because I've been in the UK for 3 years, then in Singapore for 2 years, went to an international school basically all my life. Like, I think in English.
Yeah, right.
Not
Okay.
Thai.
Okay, right.
So it's that was the edge. So I'm like, okay, well, just like what later we've been taught, to be wealthy, to be successful, you just gotta be helpful and resourceful and not put the pressure on yourself, but think about serving others, right? And that's what I did. And I just started to learn from my suppliers who were from Europe, from Japan, from Germany, a bunch of these countries that I had to deal with, bring the products into Thailand, sell them to the customers. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna admit to my customers that I'm a noob at this. Please excuse my lack of manners or lack of not knowing. And I just told them that, look, I'm here to help. I want to help my dad grow the business. I want to help our company do better, to serve them better. And just one thing after another, things picked up. And then after around 6-7 years, the team wanted me to become the CEO. Because at that time, I was the boss's son, but I didn't really have the authority to like sign off and stuff like that. I didn't really understand as well, like what being a CEO meant. So that was, I mean, in hindsight, that was a good thing that happened because it sharpened the person that I am now.
Of course.
But I was also not ready, right? So Anyways, long story short, because our company, we didn't have our own product as a brand. We imported products from a bunch of different brands. So we were more like a distributor.
Right.
That meant that all of our suppliers had the window to also set up other partners in the country. Now, when that happens, of course, then it becomes a price war. So it comes to a point where you're like, okay, if you want to grow top line, then you've got to decrease costs. But at the same time, to grow and scale, you need talent.
Yes.
Right?
Which is I think that's the real problem, like the crossroads you hit of trying to run a lean, nimble, fast-moving, flexible, innovative business, but to grow and to keep growing and keep innovating and let you as the leader go and innovate, you've got to have a team under you that can facilitate that. You need people who can actually help you run the operations whilst you run ahead of them and try and scale it or grow. And scaling is very people intensive.
Yes.
So it's that is a very common bottleneck I see, especially when people are they're trying to go from a small business where it's like they're used to being, it's just everything's them. They're doing all their own invoicing, they're doing the sales, they're the person, shaking hands with a client on the showroom floor, they're the person doing everything.
Yeah.
Then they try and go, what if I was to go a second site or try and scale to a third site? Or what if I was going to bring on a manager and try and go open more businesses or whatever? You see that transition is very hard for people because it's a very different skill set, being the solo entrepreneur or to running a team, for example, to then like that's the thing that often gets people unstuck. So how did you sort of face that? That's a big challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah. So firstly, I looked at the money that was in the bank first. Right?
Yes, that part's important.
So at that time, we were at a point where, okay, if we want to grow this further, if I want to buy back more of my time, I would need to hire C-levels, right? So we brought on, in the course of my time, we had 4 C-level people that came in in an attempt to help our business grow. Now, I think the problem was twofold. One, we didn't have a hiring process in place, or we thought we did, but that was not good enough for sure, because we got on the wrong people. 2, I was also not the leader that I was supposed to be to help them also become their best at their jobs.
Good ownership.
So now, when that happened, because then with the price war, as costs went up, our profits dropped.
Yes.
And then you start to think about okay, how am I gonna scale this? What does growth look like? That's when I started to realize that, man, there must be a better way. And I was very blessed that because during this period, I've always had this hunch to try and find new ways to scale and grow outside of this main business where I felt kind of trapped because since the product is not mine, right? Then the advertising, all of the marketing content, the sales content, and we wouldn't be able to expand if you got this and you can scale it globally, right? It's just if you can get it there in time. But for us, it was just Thailand.
Yep. And it's other people's brands, other people's products, and you probably always have to get the approval of of the brands, especially for how you do things.
Yeah.
So you've got some bottlenecks starting to appear there from the people. Yes. And I love that you said the ownership part there around this, you've hired the C-suite, you finally brought in, so for people at home who aren't big business owners or haven't got, sort of crossed this bridge yet, you're talking about CEOs, CFOs, people who are in the upper management that then come in and help you run the team as a whole, right? And give direction to the company and actually steer the ship. So we're not looking at people who are doing the day-to-day invoicing and so on, or booking out that sale or making the sales call or doing the store visit. They're more people who are running the actual team, right? And they're very pivotal because if you get that wrong, it can change culture. It can completely screw your company, overnight. So hiring that role is super critical. So far we've seen a bottleneck of people and hiring the right people and attracting the right talent. Then we've seen another issue there of, as we're growing as well, profitability with scale. Now this is massive, and it's we're doing a lot of business on this because I suppose like as a supplement company, I love putting out content to educate people because I'm massive on education as a whole, but we have a lot of people who like follow us that are business owners themselves, high performers, high achievers, and so I just find it really. I think these are very valuable lessons for them to hear because you've gotten to that next point where also I think a lot of people, especially now with social media, see everything scale. Everyone's growth, everyone's like it just has to 10x everything every year. Yeah. But for anyone who's done that, revenue goes up, profit goes down. There's always that intersect of like one goes up, the other, and it's this reverse curve where unfortunately you're doing more sales than ever, but you're broker than ever, and you're less profitable than ever, and all your cash is tied up in inventory, and it can. That's where growth can drown companies.
Yes. Which is a means to an end, right? So, and with that in mind, I started to search for new ways that we could build a profitable company that would actually grow in terms of profit and as well as top line, and we can still have a huge impact. And I stumbled upon retail, which is the eyewear kind of business, where first, it was something that I liked. Two, it was something that I could control because most of the brands that I worked with, they gave me a lot of ownership.
Great.
Three, I had the ability to do e-commerce with them because with the machines that we sold for the main business to go e-com, you can, but it's just not as simple as e-com for retail. Sure. E-com for retail is also challenging and tough, but at least there are people who have done it that you could hire that could help you.
E-com for software is different, right? And we face a similar problem in that we have a lot of like quite complex products, right? Like I make gut health formulations with like 33 separate ingredients, and it's really quite difficult sometimes to get that message across in a short format to people. Saying, and like it's in a retail setting where someone can talk to the customer and explain it, ask them about their problems they're having. You can use those products a lot easier to. You can sort of help diagnose or prescribe that product much more tailored. And I imagine software is probably the same, right? And machinery is the same.
Well, I mean, it's software and machines and service, right? And then there's ranges of like machines. So there's like a small cash counting machine, and then there's a medium one, and then there's a large one, and then there's one that has coins built in. There's one that has no coins. Dude, it's
complex business.
It's a very complex business to run. Right. And that's what I keep coming back to, is that a complex business, for those of you who are business owners, a complex business should also guarantee you a complex layer of profits. Meaning that if it's complex, it better be worth it for you.
Because if it's complicated and it's not profitable, it's a very, very challenging situation. Because and that's where I think that's where burnout shows its head often, as well as when. During those years of scaling, during when you're trying to grow something that is hard, that is complicated, like I've had a very, and I could identify with that, I've had a very complicated product for a long time, in that I was making products on gut health and stress and hormones in a time where no one was talking about those things. And so for years it was all, you had to educate every customer every time they picked up a product. And so it was a very complicated sales process. There was a lot of background education the person needed to know to sell your product easily. Like for someone to pick up the tub at retail and actually be able to sell it, they actually had to have a good amount of background knowledge on how the body works to recommend it. So I can understand how you're saying, well, in that business, there's some parallels there. It can be quite exhausting, building businesses that are so labor intensive and complex.
Exactly. And then you look at the bottom line and it's like, what's the point, dude?
So you're in this position where you've got probably at this point, I'm assuming a massive workload. You've got a huge team under you. You've got a gigantic scaling business there with physical product in the form of machines and software and service.
So we've got like warehousing. We've got like a logistics team. We've got at that time, pretty big finance and accounting team. A big sales team. Big everything. Right?
Every team was huge. Yeah, gotcha.
I would say that if that is what you want, because it pumps your ego that you have a big crew, but I mean,
it would be a nightmare to run.
Pick your battles, man.
It would be a nightmare to run. It's cool, but it's funny. These are important realities, man, for people, because like a lot of again on Instagram, on social media, I love shooting these podcasts and educating on a big range of topics. But one of them is the realities of business as well is a big one, right? And I think you're dead right. Apart from it sounding great to to say, hey, look, I've got this gigantic business with all these hundreds of employees. The reality of the day-to-day of that would be draining. It'd be you'd be putting out fires every 5 seconds. There's a lot of systems you have to build to make that run. You need excellent management. You need to be very hands-on with that management. So I guess, man,
you never sleep, dude.
Well, and it's like, this is a common thing where I think hustle culture has been playing in the background of entrepreneurship for the last 10 years. And, sleep when you're dead, just work harder, push through, you'll get there, just grind. And I've been a big advocate of that. I found myself doing the same thing and just continually burning myself out, running into the ground just for years. And I think it's, you get to that point where, like you said, the sleep starts going. You have no social life. You're just working yourself to the bone. You've got there's no real light at the end of the tunnel. It's a complex business, but there's not much profit there, so you haven't got the chance. Nothing comes easily. Yeah. And I think for people who are in that position now, listening to this, hopefully we can give them some value. I mean, it's why we're doing events like we're doing tomorrow, right?
For sure.
So what did a day look like for you then? Because I want to switch gears from here after this and sort of see, well, what did health look like for you at that time? How are you showing up? How did you survive during these periods of crazy workload? What were you doing back then that's different to sort of now?
So one thing that really helped me to go through that process was I discovered, because as an engineer, right, I've always wanted to optimize stuff. And what a better way to do than to optimize your own health, right?
100%.
So I was pretty early into the health and fitness side of things, especially for Thai business owners. I was pretty ripped when back in the days. I was probably I think the lowest body fat that I had was 6%.
Wow,
it was
very lean.
Veins like that too, but but not as big as those. But
He's lean. 6% is fantastic.
What I did was I realized that in order for me to cope with the stress that I needed to work out every single day. So for me, my daily routine would be get up, work out, let's say 30 to 40 minutes. Then I'll shower, then I'll get to work. There were periods of time between fasting and not fasting. Both works. It just depends on you. And then I'll be meetings, emails, customers, customers, boom, 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 boom. And then basically at the end of my day, I would probably be learning from an online course of some sort, or reading a book just to upscale, and then I'll just fall asleep. And that was rinse and repeat. That.
Yeah, it's man, there's so many parallels here, and there's a lot of gold here, because I think it's a great paradox, right? It's the big irony of it is that whenever you're talking about the need, to be a high performer, you need high performance health, and I this podcast is all about what goes into making someone tick at high levels, right? And how to make people really achieve their best of them. And I try and do it through making formulas that help people optimize parts of their health, because you cannot achieve big things if you have not got optimized health. You just can't, because the stress will come and it will just put you into the ground, and you'll be burnt out and run down and getting sick regularly. You'll be putting on body fat. You won't it's the quickest route to dysfunction is just massive stress, but with no baseline of health. So I love that you said that, man. That's exactly what I believe too, that you need to have that foundation
for sure
of great health. And it's funny, training is one of those things where a lot of time it gets people stop training when it gets busy, or they go, I haven't got time for gym. And it's funny because you think, it's a hard thing to do, and it might feel, we might feel buggered in the workout, but it is one of the single greatest things for longevity, for stress reduction long term, and for energy production. So, and I think energy is a big part of this, right? And being able to just constantly sustain high output. So what were you doing through it? What were some of the things you were doing back then to get through those really big long days where it's just back to back to back all day? What did you have some rituals you were doing throughout the day? Did you have some things you were doing that would help push you through?
Dude, okay, so first off, I must get that morning workout in. It's either a short hit session, 15 to 20 minutes, or I do some burpees in a hotel room, whatever that I could get in, right? Because I knew that if I could get that first win in, that the rest just becomes easier. Now, of course, when the afternoon hits, right, there's that drag. And the way that I like to do it is right after lunch, I plug in a podcast that I like to, perhaps I saved that I wanted to come back to, and then I'll just plug that in, and then I'll go for a walk for 20 minutes. And that usually like resets the whole vibe and kind of like my energy levels for the afternoon.
There's a lot of science behind that too. The walk. So I do walking all the time because I feel like what we're doing is when we're constantly just go, we can quite often find ourselves in flight or fight. Like our nervous system, we can register that as stress, right?
Sure.
And so I can flick on a stress response. But when we're in our more flight or fight state, we're not using the parts of our brain that are involved in higher order thinking, future planning, trying to problem solve, trying to think creatively. None of that happens when you're in flight or fight, right? That we're using more of our basal parts of our brain, like our amygdala, which is more like fear, flight, fight, punch, run, gut instinct, just running on intuition. When someone's like, so I've got a bad gut feeling about things, quite often they've just been in stress for a long time. So when we're walking, right, what we're doing is we're mobilizing ourselves enough where it takes our brain where it needs to focus on fine motor skills just enough to pull us out of that basal order of thinking, just out of survive, flight or fight. And it allows us to engage the parts like our, prefrontal cortex, things we want for higher order thinking. And so a lot of the time you do your greatest thinking whilst you're out on a walk, doing some like steady state cardio, going for a jog in the morning. That sort of runner's high is a blend of like you're getting out of your head in a way, pulling yourself back into your body, but you're requiring enough motor function while you're doing it that it makes you use parts of your brain that you would want to go back into work then and actually think from, because like it's nearly impossible to think about an awesome, abundant, great future when you are just living in survival mode. I know. And that's what it feels like when you're in this back-to-back, because constantly putting out fires and emails and calls, and the team members are calling in sick and everything's going on. It's hard to think prosperously and abundant and think big picture and creatively. So that's a good one, man, that you had. That hack there is really good. I like that.
Now, what I realized during that process in those years, right, is that I realized that I wasn't really doing the job of a CEO much.
Interesting. What do you mean?
Because if you think about it, right, a company does not pay a CEO to answer emails.
That's an interesting twist, isn't it? Because and it's contrarian, because you'd think like most people picture that, and you can picture the person drowning in the admin, but you're right. Someone at that level, the CEO is to vision for the company, big picture, high impact, high leverage. Right?
Yes.
Interesting. So what did your day look like?
I honestly bet you that around 1% of your emails are actually really high leverage. And yet, at the same time, we spend an hour to scan through all of the emails that are low and high. Now, what happens when you've read 100 emails in a row?
Check out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then what happens to you when you've got to use that brain power and that capacity to actually decide on, perhaps you say yes to this customer, no to that customer, should we lower the prices to win this deal, or should we not, or should we stay? There's many like actually important decisions that a CEO and a founder should be doing per day. And it's definitely not filtering your emails. That's what I found out later. And I've also come to realize that actually the top leaders of the world, the super high performers like Jeff, Elon. I mean, Elon's probably like a wild card, but I think
because he's a hustler and an operator and a visionary. He's a weird blend of like can work 100-hour weeks, but just grinding it. But also he's a visionary. That's a very 1 in a billion characteristic.
Yeah.
No, very. No,
like he's just wired that way, dude.
He's just an alien. He's an alien. Yeah.
But for the most of us, I've come to realize that in fact, a CEO should only be making 2 to 3 really high leverage decisions a day.
Interesting framing.
And our job should actually be to protect our attention and our capacity as much as possible throughout the day. And that was something that I was not doing at all, because I was allowing basically every type of noise that you can think of, right? HR, finance. This dude had an issue with his wife. He's calling in sick. He has to go meet a customer, but he's not there because I don't know, he had a
Yeah.
fight with someone and then he just threw out his phone and whatnot. It's like endless things, right? And then it comes back to the problem of what I mentioned to you is that when you're running a business that looks good on the outside, but you're not profiting as much as you should,
Yep.
you end up not having the leverage to reinvest into buying back your time, to reinvest for that growth so that you can also have more time to think on a higher level. And that's why I was always on a search for a better way and a new way. And I discovered two avenues, right? One is content.
Huh.
So I went all in on content around 7 years ago. I remember recording my first video in our office. Sounded horrible, dude.
And makes you cringe, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Makes you cringe when you look back at it.
But I tried, I tried.
It is.
And then I also discovered that, hey, why are all these like tech guys so rich? And I discovered the secret of code, right? That software scales really, really well because you write it once, and if it's a great product, if you found product market fit, you can basically resell it infinitely, and the cost is still the same, more or less.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. So that's when I decided to build a software team for the company.
Right. Which is a very high leverage decision. And I think before you even go into there, I think we need to drill down for just a second on what you said before was gold about, because I think people at home are going, oh, well, I'm not a CEO, I shouldn't listen to this, or I'm not a C-suite exec, or I'm just an everyday person, right? I think this can be related to anyone, where you said so many people spend their day being busy, but what does productive actually look like for you? It's guarding your attention, especially now we have so much. Like you can jump on endless number of apps. You can sit there on TikTok, socials, Insta, YouTube, whatever. You can be distracted all you want. Between the amount of streaming platforms we have now, you can be a full-time distracted person very easily. So it's never been more important than ever to guard your attention and guard your focus, because I think even for Pearson right through to, you could be packing shelves at Woolworths and it wouldn't matter. You should be listening to this and going, okay, what are the 2 or 3 big decisions every day that are going to push me forward somehow? And that might be, if you're packing the shelves at a supermarket, that might be, well, how can I the next big decision might just be something as simple, hey, maybe I'm going to upskill myself and go listen to that podcast, go do a course, go to TAFE, go do whatever. But it's like we spend so much time in the busyness that we never actually get our chance to work on do high leverage stuff, things that help us get forward. And we get to the end of the year, again, we're burnt out, we're tired, we're fatigued. We feel like we've made 1 million decisions a day, but you're still in the same spot as you were the year before. You've done no progress. You're just spinning your wheels. So that's actually really relatable, not just to like CEOs. That's actually, I think a lot of people would relate to that in their daily life. Where people just get so caught in the weeds. But if you actually thought of like, what's going to make my life better today? What's going to make my health better today? What's going to make my business better today? What's going to, what should I take? What should I do? What can I do? That's really valuable, man. And so you took that, went, all right, I'm going to get my focus back. You went, well, here's something I can see as an opportunity, and you've put that in. Whereas alternatively, you could have just been lost in your inbox for the rest of the time.
I know, right?
And just watched it go by, right? So, this is a really like universal topic. This isn't just like upper level. This is like everyone needs to be really particular and go, they need to give themselves time and space to think what's impactful to me. I see this with health all the time. Like, what are the pillars? What are the big high leverage things? And it's like people are looking at eliminating seed oils, are looking at microplastics, but they haven't gone for a walk in 3 weeks.
Right?
Like so, it's always like big high leverage, massive things, right? And you're talking about that. So you then put yourself in a position, because you wouldn't be where you were today without software and coding coming into this conversation. So, but you've then gone, all right, here's an opportunity. Let's find a way to bring that into the business.
Right. And so I went all in on content. We built a small media team in the office. I got like mics, camera, and gear, and we were the very first B2B kind of company that went really hard on YouTube and on Facebook, on Instagram, and basically it brought leads in without us having to use ads. And for those of you who are a business owner, it sounds like a cliche, because creating a brand and putting yourself out there as a business owner, you may not get the quick win like day one.
Compounding.
But then once it hits, you have an artifact that lives on while you sleep. Like, I have content that I put up on our company's channel that still brings new customers to us every single day. We got customers calling about that video that I did like 5-6 years ago.
Isn't it? It's amazing, man, that this and look, this is something I think is overlooked, because even I spent a long time. I've been the opposite. I've been very old school as like the way I did the business. Everything was in person, shaking hands, going and do things. Everything was old school, right?
Which is great, yeah.
Which is great, but doesn't scale very well. It's very, very labor intensive. Unless you're in a room, you can't make a sale. Unless I'm there walking in, shaking hands. That was just the way I knew. And now seeing the leverage that can come with media instead, and I can go, particularly like my mission is trying to help as many people as I can.
Yeah.
And so through products, I can help hundreds of thousands of people. And so, but then I was like, well, through media, I can sit there with the phone and go, I'm going to shoot a video on hormones right now, and 10,000 people could see it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like this massively overlooked opportunity that has probably the most leverage you could almost do.
Yes.
But like everything, takes time and effort and repeated, consistent effort for it to really pay dividends. But that's really interesting, because what is it they say when you don't know how to market, your sales team has to work really hard.
Yes.
So if you don't market yourselves, you have to get really good at sales.
Yes.
Alternatively, if you market yourself really well, the sales team can have a really, really crazy life.
And that's basically been my strength all this time. Is I cracked the code of just having a really strong marketing front, so that the leads that are coming into our business are pre-qualified to buy.
Because they've already seen you.
Yeah.
They already know what you're about.
Yeah.
They know your messaging. So they're already ringing saying, hey, love what you're about. How can I buy?
Yeah.
As opposed to the usual with leads coming into your business where they're like, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
I sell machines.
Yes.
Oh, okay. What kind of machine? They already, all right. You're getting people coming into your business.
Yes.
So relating this to the everyday person listening here, because we have a mix. We have business owners, we have PTs, we have gym owners, we have coaches, we have like a whole range.
Yeah.
So relating this back to those guys there, and I think this is like exactly what you said before, with making sure you're spending your time on things that make a big impact.
Yeah.
So probably by the sounds of this, one of the big things that you should be doing is less time being busy, more times being productive, and putting that effort into going, well, if I can double down on spreading whatever message you stand for on a platform, then that can really help to that can have a very big impact on whatever it is you're trying to grow.
And I think it's important to define the word productive. That actually it comes from the word produce, right? Now, what are you gonna produce? If you're not a farmer, then you're not gonna produce crops, right? So it's more of like the act of creating something out of nothing. That's how I see being productive, because like every single thing that we have right now in terms of our world, technology, like this mic here was created by someone's imagination that wasn't scrolling social media. He had this dream, this vision to enhance the voices of creators, entrepreneurs worldwide, and Rode came about. Or perhaps Rode, the owner, found those Japanese guys have mics from those of like Yamaha and whatnot, and then he's like, hey, why is there not a brand for, I don't know, the Swedish brands maybe? It
was brought into creation, right?
Yeah.
Someone went, this didn't exist, then it did. Because someone took the time to do it. So so productivity is where you're actually bringing something into creation. You're actually producing an outcome, an output from your work.
Yeah.
Good on you for finding it, because I think that is a challenging thing sometimes for people to differentiate between because busyness, it's almost addictive. You feel like you're in the hustle, you're in the go, you feel like you're moving forward, but it's the greatest irony, isn't it, that it doesn't.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's no point having a full task list of 0 value tasks, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna brush my teeth. I'm gonna scroll TikTok. I'm gonna respond to my girlfriend. Like those things have its time and place, but they're not going to be things that are going to move your life forward. Now, how I got here was from during that COVID period, I also discovered crypto. And I realized that crypto was a technology that was built on the whole foundation of coding, right? So we got content and then we got code, yeah? Now, crypto was the ability for one to be able to transact globally without any boundaries.
Yeah.
That got me pumped and excited. That meant that I could sell stuff to people in Australia, in the Philippines, in the US without going through a bank. And it was all peer-to-peer. That got me pumped. Now, of course, there's like up and downs of crypto, but the people that were in that field ended up also being into AI.
Got you. Right.
And so a bunch of my friends started to talk about AI on their X. And I was like, if they are using it, something is up. And so that's around at the end of 2022. That's when ChatGPT started to go mainstream. So I went all in on ChatGPT, subscribed to the plan. I remember that my first prompt was like March 2022, I think.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And then I tried it, and I was like, holy crap. Like, this is not just like a stupid chatbot. Like, it has intelligence built in. And I was like, okay, this is if this scales and if this trend goes on, as an engineer, I know that people are going to try and make this better and better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
So that means that as it scales up, the infinite amount of productivity would finally be unlocked. That would not be tied to us having to hire more people to do the work.
Start solving the problems that we were talking about before. The bottlenecks that used to be issues aren't anymore. We can increase productivity without increasing team.
Yes.
And
or the unit cost of increasing our output would not correlate with just the amount of people that we have on our team.
Yes.
But it would be just the skill to be able to use these AI tools properly. And you'll gain massive leverage. So once I did that, I realized that, hey, this could basically replace my whole back-end team. This could replace my whole content team, almost. This would save me hours and hours of emails that I could get back without hiring more people. And that's when I went all in. And I'm like, okay. And I've always had this like passion that I don't really like to be like that sales guy who tries and sells you stuff and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And I've always felt more like a teacher.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah.
I hate sales, and I think the best, like, it should be, sales come as a byproduct of being of service, right? So like when you exactly the same. I've noticed that about with Limitless and with the things that you do now, because we've left it with the audience until now to sort of go, well, what is it you're doing now? And for anyone at home who doesn't know Jedi, mate, you have helped thousands of business owners implement AI into their business, and so AI has become a huge talking point. It's everywhere. It's everything. It's on every news feed. And it's become such a big topic, I think, because of the potential for it is unprecedented. We've never seen anything that can create this level of change at this rate of change.
Yes.
And so a lot of this before, the background story was just trying to give the audience at home some actionable take-home things to help with health and high performance and what are the bottlenecks of growing businesses and what are the issues. Now switching gears a little bit, I suppose, bring you to where you are now, what you do. I'd love to draw some parallels or even differences for people and see how differently you show up now, how you approach health, health and fitness now, and how you, and I suppose what your predictions are for what we're going to see with the rate of change that's happening now, because it's getting pretty wild at how fast things are evolving, right?
So, as you were speaking just now, this word popped up in my mind. Stress. So let's compare the stress levels of how I was before AI and how I'm stressed now. Back then, high stress, high intensity, perhaps up here. That meant that my workouts were also having to be intensive to match that level of anxiety that I would have, right?
To shake it out.
Yeah,
to work through it.
And so, but now, my stress is like down here. And so I'm not having to go to push myself so hard in the gym just to try and get it out the system, because I sleep well knowing that tomorrow all of my work is done because my AI team has prepared it for me. And I know that if I need an app built, I can get an app built like at the flick of a switch. If I have a proposal that I need to make, that I could probably crank that up in like a couple minutes compared to hours. If I need to go do a one-off presentation tomorrow, I know that I can get my team of AI to help me, and I'll be 90% prepped prior to the meeting. It's just that like peace of mind that I really, really want as many people to feel and experience, because it's not about like, oh, I'm good at AI. Oh, I'm using ChatGPT for this, for that. But it's more of like, tools matter, but like, how much is your peace worth to you?
Man, that's a powerful question, mate.
Like, I mean,
that's powerful.
If you mastering AI, spending, let's say, $1,000 on a workshop with me, plus investing in some tools, that's probably going to cost you, let's say, maximum another $1,000, right? So let's say you invest $2,000 into this AI kind of side, but you become more peaceful. You rest better. You show up better. You're well prepared with all of your meetings. You aren't anxious about things anymore.
Because you have the solutions to almost any problem with much less effort, much faster turnaround. Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. And that's how we've sort of ended up in this spot. We're sitting at the front of a beach right on Manly. You've flown in today for this event, and we're doing reversing burnout for business owners, right? And I think this is a really nice intersect where you said, like, how much is your peace worth? And I think like the same with health, right? For people, I think there should be no price tag you put on your own health, because that's the thing that carries us through life and helps us show up for anything you want to do. Yeah. But I love that you've put that there of like the intersect of like when we built this is the first time that I know of anyway, where like I've been doing biohacking and biology for a decade, and you've been doing AI with Limitless and with your pursuits for years. But putting it together, it's never been done. Yeah. But it's really cool because this is like, they both go hand in hand. I can rebuild someone like that. Like I can give me a few weeks working with someone. I can give them all the supplements under the sun. I can work on their sleep quality, sleep hygiene, hormones, everything. But if they throw themselves back into a 70-hour working week and just fry themselves, I'm going to end up in the exact same place again, just down the track. Yeah. I was like, the only real permanent solution, I need to be able to take burden off their plate. I need to actually also go, well, I can fix the output, i.e. how they show up and how I can repair them. Yeah. But what if they weren't broken in the first place, right? Yeah. Like what if they didn't get to a point where they needed to be repaired all the time? What if they weren't held together with duct tape, always burnt out, always one day off having a meltdown, always overwhelm and stress and lack and scarcity? What if they actually, what if we could do both? We could fix them up and then go, let's make your day half as much effort and see what happens. Yeah. And then see how quickly you make space for creativity and thinking of new things and doing new things and pursuing more and being more. And it's so weird because people have been very doom and gloomy with AI. And my opinion's been, it's an amplifier. Yeah. Whatever totally potential you have, it will amplify that. If you're going to be someone who creates massive change, now you will create bigger change. Yes. It is literally just a force multiplier. Yes. But so for you now, mate, getting into the fun part of like what you've realized how much of a difference it's made in your daily life. You see what it's done. What is getting you the most excited now? Because we're at this like real crossroads, I think, with AI of seeing it just before. I feel like everyone thinks it's exploded. I don't think it's anywhere near where it's going to go. What are you getting really excited about? What's getting you really G'd up, going, wow, I can't wait to see this just pop off? Like what's really on the forefront of your mind with where you see this going?
There's a couple things that I want to talk and share to the audience. Is that first off, there is the price of intelligence is going down, and is being commoditized. greatly. Meaning that the access to brilliant minds, to the bright minds of the world, to the best consultants, the best advisors, used to be behind hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of fees that you would have to pay.
Yep.
All of that can be done by a Claude subscription that costs $20 a month if you know how to use it right. Now that is massive because someone who knows how to use it is going to save hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars off fees that otherwise could turn into profits for them.
And gives them even access to it in the first place.
Yes.
Because a lot of people go, before they even go, hey, can I speak to something? Because like the average, it's something like now the average like ChatGPT or Claude or what have you, they're saying now it's already beating most PhD students on the subject of choice, right? So it's something that we'd spend, the 10 years at school, 4 or 5 years at uni, 3 or 4 years doing a PhD, 20 years of academia on a topic, it's now already matching or surpassing.
Yes.
So we have basically a list of like infinite PhDs on infinite topics, right? That we now have access to that we wouldn't have ever dreamt of having access to that level of intelligence. So what do you think that's going to do to, like, I suppose, like the everyday person listening to this right through? What do you think that's going to do for people? So
the first thing that I want to imprint into the minds of everyone that is listening right now is that the notion of you feeling like, oh, I didn't have the funds to go to a great school, I didn't have access to these, great minds. I'm not rich enough, I'm not famous enough, blah, blah, blah. All of that doesn't matter anymore. Because these tools, once you know how to leverage them, is going to bring you massive, massive amounts of knowledge and wisdom in such a short period of time if you learn how to leverage it properly. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that it means that business is never easier for those who are already builders in the space. Meaning that if you are a purebred entrepreneur, if you've been grinding, if you've been hustling, AI is just going to make your life even easier and you're going to just win bigger. Because you're working hard already anyways, right? Like, why not work 10 times as hard at 10 times the price?
Yeah, because you can. It's like a great leveling. So part one is it's a great leveler in that it doesn't matter what disadvantage, what handicap you started from, it's going to level the field because you now have access to expert level advice instantly. And then part two is it's going to amplify whatever your vision was, you can pretty much 10x it because you've got access to tools you didn't before and resources. So
and grow it bigger and faster and leaner, right?
Yeah, which is I suppose the big problem before and the big barrier to entry with business of trying to build something truly impactful. Like it's taken me 10 years doing it the old school way of slowly building. It probably took 5 years of me having to grind solo before I could even hire my first staff members to help. I do everything for years and years to even get to that point where you can afford to hire staff, so then they can help you get that little bit further ahead. Then you hire another staff member. That's that sort of way I'm seeing now is gone. It's at the blink of an eye. It's like, well, you can build your team, but also 10x their output, and you can be, you can have a 5-person team doing what 50 used to do.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's actually quite incredible to watch the rate of change.
And dude, like, just for context, right? This month we are gonna do $60,000 with a team of 3 people.
Which, like, when would that ever happen? Like, when could you ever build a business doing nearly $1 million a year with 3 people?
Back then, when we would do $2 million for our main business selling machines, we needed a team of at least 20.
Yes.
So it's like 3 and 20, right? So it is literally almost 10x.
It's crazy, isn't it, man? To think now you can do a business which is, 60 a month, so $750,000 a year with 3 people.
Yeah.
3. What that's going to allow to do, what I foresee, and it's really, hopeful era, I think, because
Yes.
it's like anyone listening at home, whether you're like just a like regular everyday person, whether you're a business owner, whether you're like, honestly, if you just come across this channel because you just love health and supplements, I think there's no greater time in history where we can see you have the opportunity to do whatever you want with
Exactly.
zero barrier to entry.
Yes.
If you can afford $20 a month, you can jump on it. I mean, even if you just afford just one, just get Just Chat or get just, you know, like you can have access to a toolkit that we couldn't have dreamt of before. If I had this 10 years ago when I started the business, Christ, like I just would love to think of the impact I could have created by now and the size we could be.
I know, right?
So I guess for the, let's there's a lot of those guys who will be starters to AI because I still think even though it feels like it's a bit down the track, there's still a lot of people who are still slow to the party or might not understand it or not know where to start. They're probably a bit overwhelmed with it all.
Yeah.
If you were that person going, look, you know you should be, you know you need to be working on it, but you're literally starting from scratch. You're like day one Jedi versus now, right?
Yeah.
What are you telling those people to how to get involved, how to utilize it in their daily lives to help them? Where are you pointing them towards?
Well, dude, like first off, like I am going to give you all of the sauce, right? Like if you watch till now, I am going to give you everything that I teach to all of my students. First off, AI is smart. It has the brains of the whole world, right? Built inside. However, it doesn't know who you are. It doesn't know your goals. Therefore, the first step is to actually tell it your goals and your dreams and your vision and who you are and what you're trying to be. And in both ChatGPT, in Claude, in Gemini, there's a settings inside that allows you to customize the built-in system prompt for your chat or for your Claude. So that's the first thing that I tell all of my students to do, is to let them know, let chat know who you are first, and so that it can then surface better answers for you that is directly going to help your life improve. So that's the first step. And the second step is there's free tools like Notebook LM that everybody should be using right now. Because this tool allows you to put in PDFs, documents, YouTube channels, Excel spreadsheets, whatever type of information, as long as Google supports it, it's going to be able to turn those into palatable knowledge bite pieces that works for you. Meaning, it can create infographics for you. It can create slides for you. It can create an audio podcast for you to explain those concepts in those sources.
Wow.
It's like a mobile teacher, dude.
Wow.
And all you need to do is just have the curiosity to actually search for the right sources and add it in to Notebook LM. And it's free.
It's ridiculous, man, isn't it? Think what this level of advisory or help or team or what you'd need before. So, and I think you did this with me, where one of our first exercises was you showing me how to just even create basically an employee within chat and give chat the context of you as a person. And this will be stuff we're doing right here at Manly tomorrow. But I think even as a step one of just prefacing it with that context for something as simple as like, I think ChatGPT just beat Google for the amount of hits it gets per week in search engine functions, right? Like billions of users a week are using it. But I think that's a great unlock for anyone at home who's like, look, I'm not fully into AI yet. I haven't used it, but I do have ChatGPT on my phone. Jumping in there, changing the setting, and giving it that background information on yourself first, so that every time you ask a question, it's based on you.
Yes.
That was a massive unlock for me. And then taking it a step further, creating the employees within chat was mind blowing. Like that was huge as well. Like using that logic a step further, that was crazy.
So like what I teach in the workshop is this concept called the golden triangle, right? So with AI, whatever type of output is basically the tip of the triangle. You only need to complete this with just two more components. One is the knowledge that you feed into it, and two is the instructions, which is basically the prompt or the system prompts. Once you have these two components, you can essentially craft the output of AI to be whatever you like. Now, inside both ChatGPT and Claude, there's a projects function. Inside those projects functions, there is a instructions and then there's a sources. That means that if you treat a project like a employee or a high-level advisor, what job description would you like to give it? That's where you put in the instructions for that project. And then add in the sources and the files and the knowledge regarding that topic or your business so that it knows and acts like an actual CMO, chief HR, chief lawyer, whatever you want to build, right? It's free for all.
It's bloody crazy, man. When you showed me, it blew me away. And it's stuff that, like, even if we take this away from just business only and go, right, what about the everyday person? Well, I mean, anyone could use that to do literally anything. Hey, I'm struggling to lose weight right now.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to build my own personal PT. I'm going to build my own. There are so many millions of applications.
Yes.
I don't know where to start with food. Okay, write me a meal plan. What do you like to eat? What are your choices? What do where do you shop weekly? Like, you could just customize this thing, and
exactly.
in any avenue of life, it can guide you, right?
And to be very tactical with all of you, is that first off, just think about who you would like as a sidekick. Like, what type of person and people that you would like to be surrounded with. Let's say you're a big fan of Tony Robbins, but you may not be able to have him in person, right? Yep. Well, what you can do is you can get ChatGPT to create like a coach description of who Tony is as a person. Use that, input it into the custom instructions, so your chat in that section acts like Tony. Then feed in some of Tony's books, podcasts and whatnot inside that chat as well. And then you've got a mobile Tony that you can carry around the phone with you and ask him questions just like it was Tony.
It's wild, mate.
And
isn't
if
it?
you like,
this is going to change. It just blows the sorry. It just blows your mind when you think about the potential of it. And I think for people who are, if you're ever going, I want to do more with my life. I want to step up. I've wanted, for a long time. I hate my day job. I've always wanted to do a side hustle. I don't think there's ever been a better opportunity to finally do that. And I love it from the health perspective, because it finally gives people a chance to take control of their own health.
Yeah.
We in Australia anyway have very much a bit of a broken medical system that's all about, it's treating disease, it's not proactive, it's not teaching people how not to be sick. Yeah. And I love now that we have access to tools where people can jump on and get high level custom advice. You can go get your bloods, dump it in there. You can get, go do a body scan, a DEXA scan, throw it in there. You can go, these are my goals, this is my body fat percentage, muscle mass, this is what I'm doing. And it can give you a perfectly, like, you can take control of your own health again. Just like you can take control of your business, you can take control of it. It's mental to think where it's going to go. It's crazy.
And it's like, and okay, so that's kind of like the increasing your mental capacity, right? And just up-leveling your skills so that there's no more like, oh, I didn't go to Stanford. Oh, I didn't have a good coach. Well, now you can build one literally inside ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, right? It's right there for you to use.
Crazy.
Now, therefore, that means that the difference between people who leverage it and don't is just gonna continue to like build up, because the gap is gonna go so wide of those who actually use these tools for their advantage and taking action on that and actually getting the feedback. Like, dude, it's. I mean, I'm a testament, because the whole brand that you saw, that was built from me dumping my knowledge into AI and just going back and forth. Like, hey, you're a brand coach. You've been in the business for 20 years. You've helped brands like Tony Robbins, like who else? Like all of the GOATs, right?
Yep.
Built their brands based on what you know and all of the content that I've given you. Create ideas of how my brand should look, and then it just spit out for me, like templates, colors, themes, everything, and then the last 10% was me choosing, picking, testing, and of course putting it out into the world, testing the feedback from the customers if they liked it, and that's what you see.
Man, it's funny because even someone who's like unapologetically old school, in that I had no tech at all in business forever, did everything manually, did everything slowly. I think like since there, even some simple things like I love Notion, for example, right? And even to something as simple as we used to do, I'd do a proposal for a client and it would take me hours to put together, build out a PDF, save it as a PDF, send that over. Now I can create a private website for someone in like 20 seconds. Whereas, and It's incredible. It would know, like, and it's fully customized. You can put in, I can put in links and videos and put in all these things. You know, completely customized, just a website for one person.
Yeah.
Completely free. Like, $10 a month, something.
Yeah.
Basically free, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this level of just ability is actually kind of mind blowing. It's what really has made me think. Imagine if you could pair that with mastering your own health at the same time. If we could level up people's health and at the same time 10x their output.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of amazing to think where people can get to. Like,
and then what gets me pumped is that now with where we are with AI is that it's not just giving you answers and advice, right? It can actually do it for you. So you can use tools like Claude Cowork, which I plan to teach tomorrow. You can just type into Claude Cowork and it'll make that Notion page for you. So you don't actually have to go and click. So you just type to Claude on what you want and it'll make the actual page for you. Just like what I have here. Like, I've got like a Notion page of daily, here. This is a daily video pipeline that
for anyone at home, very big page.
that I didn't touch. Yeah, I didn't touch.
So this is built all for you.
This is prepared by my team of AI.
All of that.
And all of these are real scripts.
We're still scrolling, people. We're still scrolling through this thing, and this is all.
So there's 10 scripts ready for me to record every single day. And this has been
that's crazy.
A kicking at the back for me for the past 2 months. So
wow. That's crazy. So it built it for you. So we're getting this age now where people are using, like we're calling it, agentic AI, right? So agents are starting to become a thing.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's been an evolution, a turning point here, where it's now, like you said, it's not just advisory; it's now doing the advice, right? So. What do you think are going to become the broader implications for this? Like, I suppose a lot of people they approach AI with a bit of uncertainty. They're sort of skeptical. They might be looking at some place from fear and scarcity, going, what does this mean for us? Other people approach it with hope and prosperity and abundance. Other people look at it and go, I'm not sure. I'll just wait on the sidelines and see. Yeah. There's a lot of mixed sort of reviews of it. What do you think is going to be the most likely outcome? Like, what do you foresee happening now that we're in this new, revolution of it being more agents doing the work for you, using the intelligence as well? What do you think that's going to play out for everyday people, for business owners?
So I'm going to be really, really straight up right now.
Good.
If you want to be rich, and if you're not using AI, your possibilities of gaining wealth, like money, is going to decrease really, really fast. Especially if you are at the sidelines, if you are just doing an average job in your job right now, or in your work, or in your life. If you're considered average and you're not using AI, like, your ability to create wealth is going to be extremely tough. So, but if you really want to get wealthy, rich, like, this is the time to buckle all in, to really strap down, lock in for like a week and just get good at AI, like tinker, build, break stuff, and try and, like, now is not the time to like be in the sidelines, because right now there, just like 2 weeks ago, there's this 19-year-old kid. He built a AI app from his home, just with one machine. Vibe coded a whole mobile app called Cal AI, which is basically a app that you take a photo of a food plate and it calculates your calories based on the photo. It was acquired by MyFitnessPal for $50 million, bro. $50